Hi, good people. Hi, TIs. It's Sherry, and I am here with some free and valuable information. Some information that is going to help you benefit yourselves as well as each other. Okay, so here on my channel, Sherry's Research and Reviews, also Sherry's Stories, I talk about, I research and review various topics, and I share stories on various things. Okay, I post every Tuesday. Unless something comes up. So please, while you have time, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. Also the notification bell. What that does is it helps you to organize your content viewing a little bit better. You'll get notified when somebody, a channel that you watch releases a, new content, a new video, and then of course you don't have to watch it, but you'll get the notification at least, and that way you can kind of plan and organize your content viewing. Okay. And again, this information is going to be beneficial for yourselves as well as others. So please stick around, and we'll get into it. Okay. I think you'll enjoy this topic. I enjoyed preparing it for you. Side note, this was a lot of labor, a labor of love. We talked about that, how when you create, it's like, you're birthing something, a seed. So this was a long labor. Actually, it's overdue. This creative baby is overdue and almost miscarried a couple times there because it was a lot of things came up. That happens. Okay. So that's all right. So I'm very proud, and I'm glad to have. I'm honored to have prepared this for you guys. All right. So I hope you enjoy it. Again, stay till the end so you can get all the benefits. All right. Don't leave early. Don't be one of those people like at the movies who leaves before it's done. Watch it. You'll get. You never know. There's good information up until the end too. So try to stay until the whole thing. Okay. All right. So today, and I'm looking at my notes here. Okay. So thank you for bearing with me. Today we will be discussing a video I've titled "The Slaps of Life." Slaps of life. Okay. And what I mean by slaps is both literal slaps, also figurative proverbial slaps that you can give with the tongue, right? The tongue is a wonderful speech, the gift of language. We're here now because of that. And it's a very powerful, right? It's a tool and it's a weapon, like most things. Okay, so the slaps of life and what we can learn from them. All right. Because in this day and age, the way things are going with, technology and just the world in general, the different goals that are going to be reached, we're moving fast in the stream of time. And, we're going to go through many changes. So this topic is of importance. Okay. So because to navigate in this world, you need to know about the slaps of life. Okay. And what we can learn from them, because there's a lot to be learned about human behavior and aggression and whatnot, and dominance and all that. So we'll get to it. That's what this is about. The 3 points, the three I guess subtopics of the slaps of life. What about them? We want to know who does them. Everybody, proverbial and literal. Number 2, why? That's really the important thing. Why do people slap? Why do people get slapped? Why? Okay, there's reasons. And then also third, we want to know the solutions to this behavior. How to avoid and prevent slapping and getting slapped. How do you navigate even proverbial slaps? Slaps with the tongue. How can you avoid that? How can you avoid doing it? How can you avoid getting it done to you? So let's discuss it. Okay. Now I also just want to let you know that I am qualified to talk about this because I have had my share of slaps of life, like we all have. So I've done lots of research on this topic. I've, read books. I have watched documentaries from the actual professionals, the psychiatrists, the psychologist, all, behavioral scientists, all that. There's plenty of content here on YouTube for that. I've watched videos. I mean, again, movies, of course, read books, all, self-help books, psychology, all that to figure this out, to figure out this behavior and, what can we learn for it? So please allow me to share my research with you guys. Okay. So it's no fun if I keep it, it's no benefit if I keep it to myself, right? And this affects all of us. So let me tell you what I learned. Let me show you. Okay. So number 1, let's get to it. The who. Again, who is getting slapped? Who? Everybody. Okay, again, it's not just a literal slaps, it's also proverbial slaps, with the tongue. Okay. Now just as a side note, we want to talk about slaps can be, they're done by everybody. So both, grand, on a grand scale and on a small scale. Okay, even the spiritual realm, okay, as it were, right? Um, and so there's power in this, okay? Even, people like celebrities, right? Recently, what started this whole conversation um, is, the slap that happened at the Oscar Awards show. So celebrities are not immune to this, even though they're rich and famous, okay? Who else? Powerful nations, okay? Leaders, us, friends, family, work environments. Again, because we're not just talking literal slaps, we're talking about proverbial slaps too. Injury with the tongue, right? Okay. So, all right. Um, Hang on a second. I have lots of notes here, so that's what I'm referring to. Um, okay, so who is getting slapped? We're going to talk about who? It would be, again, celebrities, nations, leaders, presidents, politicians, and on a personal level. Okay, so just to name a few, okay, name a few celebrities, not to put anybody on blast, all right, but just let's get it out there. Who gets slapped? Um, who gets bullied? Maybe is a better term, right? Um, you know, acts of aggression, whatnot. If you've noticed in the media with celebrities, Britney Spears comes to mind, and even with her family issues and everything. So if that's not a slap to the ones, self-esteem and independence and all that. Also Amanda Bynes. Don't know if you guys are familiar. She was a Disney star. They had bullied her so bad they were teasing her about the fact that, I think, rumor has it that she complained that she thought that she was implanted with a microchip in her brain, which is totally a capability. That can be done. There are tracking devices, and they are tiny, and they can be put in your brain to interface. So that's a total capability. But they kind of got on her case. I mean, they ripped her apart in the media, calling her mentally ill and this and that, and yeah. So yeah, that's a form of, that was a slap, right? Um, Also too, even strong, male celebrities, for some reason, Mike Tyson, that example comes up. He's strong, he's a, athlete. And they mocked him for a long time and made fun of him. I mean, not to his face, obviously, but, in the media and stuff and movies and on, TV, they're, putting his business out there, always talking about him, making him seem like the bad guy. And, just, I mean, I'm not saying he was totally didn't bring it on, but we'll get to that later. That's the whys. We're just talking about the who's. Okay, this is what I've noticed from my opinion. Oh, also too, I want to mention, this information that I'm sharing is opinion based. Okay, it's my research. Okay, on it. So just do your own research, guys. Okay, so just so we get that out there. All right. Okay, so who else has been bullied? People that we celebrities. Taylor Swift. Remember, if there was like a whole couple years where she kept getting bullied. For some reason, the actress Cher, the singer, they used to get her on Saturday Night Live. Oh my goodness, they would they would copy her manner, just mock her. It was very, it was hard to watch sometimes. How they got on her, but so bullying. Slaps, proverbial slaps. Also too, like we were talking about presidents and leaders and everything. If you notice the skit show that comes on Saturday Night Live, I mean, talk about slapping. That's a satire, supposed to be funny. It's funny. Not if you're the person they're talking about, though. Then it's not so funny. I mean, I guess you take it in good humor, but we're just talking about the who, and not to get on them. That's comedy, right? Our version of comedy, satire, a mockery. Really, you're mocking somebody. That's the humor in it, right? But so yeah, I mean, if you in some of the skits, they were funny. Sometimes it really is funny, like they were talking about Trump. Oh my goodness, when Trump was running for president, and oh my goodness, they talked about his hair so bad. They kept saying he had a toupee, and then he even went on a talk show once, and I think he actually like showed that he wasn't wearing a toupee. He's like, this is all my hair. Not that it matters if he was wearing a toupee. So what? It's his head. It's his hair. Maybe he doesn't want to walk around bald. Maybe some people do. Maybe some people don't. Leave him alone. Why do we care what he puts on his head? That's just one example. I'm saying even leaders, presidents can get mocked, can get proverbially slapped, right? They're brutal. Same thing with the current president, whatever they've called them, old and senile, just really some brutal, So they get it. Celebrities, leaders, politicians, and our media. Well, okay, so that's an example of some people who get who have gotten slapped. Okay, now I'd like to talk about here my personal experiences. I did mention that I would go through this with you guys, and I, if you want to hear it, I'll share some instances about bullying and proverbial slaps in my personal experience with myself, with family members, with just in general. I won't give names, so don't ask me. It doesn't matter. Don't sit and try to, don't stir. This is not to stir drama. This is the principles. We're learning from the principles of this information, not like, oh, she was talking about such and such. It doesn't matter. Okay? It doesn't matter. I'm not going to tell you their name, so you sit there and guess. A through Z, I don't know. And then you might think you guessed correctly and you might be totally way off base. So, whatever, Again, we're talking about this to get the principles, to gain knowledge from the principles of it, not to sit and gossip. Okay? So, I'll start with myself. My experience getting slapped. And I've also slapped. My experience, we'll start with the getting slapped. Okay, so maybe I was about 10 years old, something like that. And me and my mother and younger siblings were walking to the store. We were walking past the pizza shop. I remember this very clearly. There's a liquor store on one side of the street and a pizza shop on the other. And I think I wanted to get pizza or something. We usually got pizza a lot, and my mother said no that day, and I don't know. I must have really been in the mood for pizza. Kids can be bratty sometimes and kind of, we want our way, pizza. And she said no. And I said, let's stop here. I said, I'm not gonna, walk until you get until you stop in this store and buy us a pizza. It's $5. I knew how much it was. I mean, that was back in the 80s. So that was a pretty good price for a full deep dish pizza. It was delicious, and I was hungry. And in my defense, my mother wasn't feeding us very well, so I was hungry. Like, I think it was like, we were on welfare. So I think it was like the day before, she got her check, so she didn't have any money to buy pizza. I think she said that too. And I didn't understand. I'm like, well, dig in your purse. And in my defense too, though, she did buy herself some cigarettes and a 2-liter soda of Coke and you guys remember when the Jay's potato chips came in a box and it was 2 bags in there? Yeah, so she had money for that. Okay, her cigarettes and her chips and her soda, but she didn't have money for a $5 pizza. So my 10-year-old brain or whatever, however old that, added it up. Hey, pizza, lady. My mother turned around, and this was more than a slap. This was like a little bit of a punch, and just boom, right in my face, right in the mouth. Blood like started gushing. I felt it. It felt warm, and it felt, how blood tastes kind of like iron, like copper pennies in your mouth. I'm like, oh my goodness. And I looked down and I'm like, oh, I'm bleeding. And my mother got so scared that, she was going to get in trouble because obviously you don't go around like punching a 9-year-old. She's a big 5'7", 200-pound woman. You don't go punching, your kids. That's a little heavy-handed discipline. But I digress. She's not perfect. None of us are. Okay. So, but that was my experience with a slap. Okay, so needless to say, I got it in my head that we weren't getting pizza that night, and I think I kind of eased up on that. And in her defense, I think like, when she did get her check, she did buy pizza. So, okay, fine. I'm here. I had pizza. I lived. We had enough food. So anyways, that was a slap, okay? Proverbial slap, okay? A little bit of a bullying situation. But, okay, so even happens in families. Also, too, I remember this whole thing in our neighborhood, right? Okay, so we moved to a new neighborhood. And I don't know, somebody like hyped me up, and my friends and family were like, there's this girl in the neighborhood, and she's a bully, and she's been bullying us, and you should go fight with her because then you can be the leader of the neighborhood, and you're our cousin, and then we'll be your friends, and and we're already your friends, but then we'll be cool because you'll be cool because you will have taken on the neighborhood bully. And I really didn't want it. I'm like, oh, that doesn't really sound like, I was like a book nerd, I kind of have an athletic, I'm like, what do you say? I'm like a nerd trapped in like an athlete's body, like it, whatever. So I think my cousins were like, oh, you look really strong. Like you can go fight that bully. Okay. So I'm like, I guess they kind of pushed me into it, right? So they're like, yeah, go fight her. You can do it. You can take her. In walks this other girl, mixed like me. We kind of looked similar. But she was taller. She was a little older, so a little taller, a little stronger. Okay, my adult strength hadn't kicked in. Didn't hit puberty yet, whatnot. Anyways, so I go up to the girl and, yeah, my family, my cousin said blah blah blah. You're a bully, and I'm here to stop your bullying. Okay. Well, anyways, that girl went to town on me. I didn't even know to put up my arms to cover my face. That girl knocked my head with one swoop, boom, right into the tree, to the tree trunk. I could like, my ears reverberated like, I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm gonna pass out. I think I was scared, and I mean, my balance was off and everything. Humiliated, humiliated. And what could I do? I couldn't start crying. I couldn't, yell for help, but my family was all there watching, like family lived upstairs. We lived downstairs. Our other family lived next door. My my relatives were friends with the woman that lived on the corner, so all three houses. And then the house across the street, which was the girl that was a bully, her house. So her family was just watching, people fight. They're like, oh, okay, neighborhood fight. And yeah, that girl knocked knocked my head into the tree. And then I heard one of my uncles say, "Okay, leave her alone. Get off her." Like, geez, Sherry. Woo, embarrassed. Humiliation was like high. Doesn't matter now that I think about it, but it did. Invaluable lesson. Don't go challenging the bully. Okay, needless to say, I didn't become the leader of the neighborhood, and I didn't get more respect. If anything, it made it worse. I'm like, great, now I'm a new on the block, and now I've already made an enemy with the bully girl. Great, thanks a lot, family. They're like, well, we thought you could handle it. Anyways, slaps of life, yeah? Okay, so another incident was different girls, also in the neighborhood. This time I had a family member with me, and she wasn't that, she was younger. But, so she ran away. I was getting, beat up. She ran away, and I thought, well, maybe she's going to run to get help. That was the days before cell phones, obviously. Maybe she's going to go back home and tell my family, and then they'll come up here in the car and pick me up, and, nobody ever came. I had to talk myself out of that one. Yeah, that was horrible. I still seen that girl recently, kind of within the last 5 years, and it's no problem. It's water under the bridge, but I think, wow, okay, slaps of life. All right, you liking these? I know you guys love this tea, but it's so that we all go through it. Okay. Also, too, now let me tell you a story about when my cousin, one of my family members, and I were hanging out with a friend. Okay. And she had a neighbor, and this neighbor girl was also a neighborhood bully. Okay. Cool if you got on her good side, but not cool if you were not on her good side. For some reason, I don't know why, but my family member, I think because she has a big mouth. She's lovely, she's funny, but mouth of the South, just loud and gregarious, I guess. And she's not even trying to be. They're just loud people. Well, maybe it is a little bit of a dominance thing, really, to be honest about. I mean, who needs to talk that loud? You don't need to do it. Anyways, this girl wasn't having it, okay? And this girl was, again, athletic. It's never like regular sized women that I have seen in confrontations. No, but thank God my family member is not an average sized woman either. She's more on the bigger side, so it would have been fair. Okay. And I was there. I would have helped, if I had to. I would have broken it up. But that girl, I think my family member said, okay then. And I said, oh, you sure you want to do that? And she's, nah. I'm like, okay. And the girl took a beer bottle, it was a 40 ounce, took it, hurled it at the car that we were in, and she threw it like she was Tony Romo, okay? Like she was freaking Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers. I mean, the girl threw like a linebacker, like a freaking quarterback. Oh my goodness. Like athletic, not just big, but like she had solid big, not big and sloppy, big muscle, okay? Linebacker girl. Okay. I was like, oh, we have to leave now, because if you even dare try to, escalate this, somebody's gonna be hurt, okay, or the cops are gonna get called. So, needless to say, but Yeah, so that wasn't a slap, but that would have been. Had we not pulled off, that would have been. Okay, or maybe even worse. You never know. Um, another time, I was out with friends, and what I thought were friends. One of the girls was talking to a man. Didn't know I didn't know him. I wasn't talking to him. She just said, "Oh, hey, this is such and such," and oh, okay. And I'm just talking to him. She went to the bathroom or something, and she went dancing. So we're sitting at the table, and little did I know this man was married. Okay, so I'm talking, and just laughing, nothing horrible, right? And all of a sudden, this woman comes in and says, "Hey," comes up to the table. "Hey," I'm like, "Oh, hi." She's like, "Why are you talking to my husband?" "Oh, this is your husband." I did. Oh, she said, "Oh, I bet you didn't know that. You knew," and basically ready to fight. Um, that would have landed in a slap. Had not my friend, one of them, the gentleman, one of the guy friends, had the wherewithal to come around me and kind of put his arm around me and kind of like whisk me away, like kind of making her think that we were together, which thank goodness he had quick thinking. Otherwise, yeah, that would have been a fight over some guy that I didn't even know. And I was just stuck at the table with him. I think that was a setup. Till this day, I think that girl did that on purpose, and then and knew that guy's wife was gonna come in. I mean, what a scumbag, right? Talking to a guy with a wife, and then I'm gonna get blamed for it. I was gonna get hurt over this. Slaps of life. I avoided that one. That one would have been a slap. That one might have been. I feel like other people would have maybe jumped in, and I would have gotten a couple slaps from a couple different people. Because I was like the oddball out in that situation. You know what I mean? Anyways, so yeah. Also, too, you guys want to know something really funny? The family member that was, the one girl with the football, with the quarterback skills. Um, well, anyways, I was just gonna say that I had a family member actually wanted to slap me, and I'm like, well, you couldn't even slap that girl. So what are you talking about? I've had to slap people for you. What are you talking about? Anyway, I digress. Side note, okay? And I think it was something, I'm gonna come to your house and whatever. It's like, but I've seen you. You not a slapper. Maybe she grew into you. I don't know. Maybe her mouth, maybe her physical finally. I don't know. I love them. It's just this is life. Okay. So you don't know these people. Don't ask me. No names. All right. So these are my experiences with slaps. All right. So you heard about my mother. You heard about the neighborhood girl. You heard it. Okay. So now what else? Oh, now this is some people I know that I have seen getting slapped or getting bullied. Okay. Um, I had one family member that got bullied, um, slapped really bad while they were in a situation where they couldn't leave. Okay, you guys know what I'm saying, where you can't leave. Yeah, and it got really bad. Like that was I felt so bad, and it was such a horrifying experience. Imagine being the parent or somebody of that. That person is in that situation. So, but they worked it out. So you know there's solutions. You guys stick around, we'll cover that. All right, because that's a serious thing. Imagine that. How are you going to get out of that? That can turn real bad. I mean, as if it wasn't bad enough, it could get really bad. Okay. Also too, I've had family members bullied in the neighborhood too, just bullying. Okay. I've had family members get things stolen from them. I had some of my family members, I've seen one of my family members getting bullied by some guy who liked her. He wouldn't like stop messaging her. I felt so bad. I wanted to say something, but I thought, no, that's going to make it worse. Maybe I'll just try to talk to her privately about it, but, just, online slaps, bullying, right? Um, what else? Um, oh, this is a situation. This was another at a dancing, dance hall type. Anyways, I went with my friend, and we had seen this show. It was a dancing show of women. Okay, women dressed. They weren't real women. You know what I'm saying? But this was in the past. Okay, and this, so the friend that I was with was being real critical. I guess maybe he said they do that in their community. He's like, oh yeah, we tease each other like that all the time. I'm like, are you sure? You just said that she sings like disgusting, or he sings like disgusting. Like that's pretty bad, and you're like cutting them down like really big, really catty. So I was like, wow, okay, that's the culture here, you know. I didn't say anything. I was just like, all right, well, whatever. So, and all of a sudden, one of the men came in, and he approached, you know, my friend and was like, hey, why you talking stuff? Not like that, not that nice, but basically, shut your mouth, you know? And my friend, he said, oh boy, I remember he kind of got scared. He said, you know what, I'm going to have to call for backup because the guy was really big. I mean, he was, you know, he was dressed. He was dressed very soft, but he was, you know, as a man, you could tell without all that, he was, you know, a big man, like 6 foot, you know, again, husky, not a slender man. Okay, we're not talking like, you know, Michael Phelps swimmer build. We're talking about like NFL. Okay, like for real, like The Rock, like strong, strong dude, you know, and strong and tall and big and solid. That's a challenge. And anyways, the friend would have gotten slapped, maybe even worse, and I couldn't have helped. I didn't dare. Like this is out of my league. You know, this is out of my league. The friend ended up calling some other friends and family. It was so funny because they did come. You know, I give them credit for that. They did come and they were gonna help. But I mean, the guy ended up laughing because, and this, pay attention to these things, okay? Because you can get yourself out of some sticky situations. You know, by all accounts, my friend probably should have been slapped. I mean, he was talking badly about these people. He really did kind of deserve a slap. But the guy seen, I think he's seen how pitiful that the situation was. Like, this is who you're gonna call for backup, like your little brother who's like not even full grown, you know, some girl, my family member, a girl in a jumpsuit, you know, I mean, they bless their heart. The guy actually found it comical. Now imagine, this is a big old strong dude, you know, like he could have, and he had friends too, and they were big and strong. So I mean, you know, they could have said to my friend and family members and other friends, you know, hey, let's go. But he used wisdom, and the friend did end up apologizing, and the situation fizzled, which was nice, without slaps, without anybody getting hurt. Okay, that's my point here in these stories. Okay, later on we're going to talk about solutions, but right now we're talking about the who of bullying and of slapping. Who gets bullied? Who gets slapped? Everybody. Okay, even if not literally, you've been proverbially slapped with somebody else's tongue, with their language. Somebody has insulted you and said something aggressive, and I don't mean just aggressive like with violent, but like hurt, you know, hurtful things. You know, something doesn't have to be violent to be hurtful. Okay. So yeah, so that was some experiences with my, you know, my friends and family. Okay. And what else here? Oh yes. One friend, this was actually bad. And I feel like I should have done something more. And I feel like maybe we should have never went to that locale. Okay. So I had a friend, and we all went out. It was four of us, two guys, two girls. Okay. And this friend had, you know, um I don't know, he was kind of bragging about his accomplishment, but not like super bragging, not like being a total jerk, just kind of proud bragging of what he had done. He had just gotten done with like a program that was kind of hard and had spent some time away, and you know, he was pretty proud of himself, which he should have been, you know. And then some guy came, it was a big dude. It's always these stories, and maybe am I exaggerating? No, because I'm actually a bigger female. You know what I mean? So I am almost 5'8". So I know, you know, people don't just look, it's not like I'm short and everybody looks big to me. Like I'm pretty tall for a woman. And so when people are big and strong, I notice. Like in these all these stories, these people were big and strong. You know, the kind that'll give you a run for your money. All right, not average size people. These were above average. It's always above average size people. He looked like a bouncer or military. Matter of fact, the guy was. The guy was military, and he basically like bullied my friend. Um, you know, pretty bad. I mean, not real bad, but disrespectful. And I know my friend was embarrassed a little bit. Like, how can you not be, guys? Right? We've all been there. It's embarrassing, especially when you like somebody or something, and somebody, you ever do that? You like a guy, or guys, you like a girl, and you're trying to, like, you know, have a conversation with them or trying to, and then somebody comes and like humiliates you in front of them. That sucks, right? You can't, excuse me, but you can't. I have a tank top situation going on here. Anyways, I digress. But yeah, that was a proverbial slap, which could have turned to actual physical slap had we not left like quick, fast, in a hurry. Okay, so I still think that situation might have been a setup. Actually, I think several of these situations could have been setups. Okay, it's very easily to, if somebody's going out somewhere and one of your friends or family members who doesn't like you or somebody you know doesn't like you and they know where you're going to be at, it's so easy to set up a situation like that. So that does happen, and I think it might have been like what the guy's ex-girlfriend or something like that, or somebody I knew. I don't know, but I always felt like that was a setup. So, anywho's, yeah, so that was my experiences with slaps of life. Okay, so we were talking about the who of, again, it happens with celebrities. So your money doesn't save you. They get it worse sometimes, right? Again, nations, leaders, they'll talk about the president of of nations with no qualms. They get it the worst, don't they? The higher up you are, the more under scrutiny that you are. So I feel I have a level of compassion for them because that's hard to go through what they go through, and then all of us too. We know we're all human. It could be our friends and family, our trying to proverbially slap us, right? Slander our name, tease us, mock us. So we've all been through it. That was my point. So no need, if you ever have been bullied, no need to feel ashamed or, humiliated. I mean, for the moment, but don't carry it with you into life. Even if, like in my situation, even if it's one of your, your parents, God forbid, when they're being a little heavy-handed, a lot heavy-handed, that's actually an example of abuse. But that's that happens because none of us are perfect. I've gotten through it, gotten over. I'd like to say get through it rather than get over it because you never really get over it. Like it's hurt your it hurts your ego and your feelings and your pride more than even your the actual physical, right? Because that bloody mouth that was done within the hour. I'm sure it stopped bleeding. Yeah, it was fine. So yeah, that's I just wanted to share that bullying, the slaps of life happen on all levels, big and small. So yeah. Oh, also too, let's see. You know what I was going to talk about again with the who was some Bible examples if we have a moment, okay? And then we'll close. All right. There, obviously people who lived in Bible times are just like you and I. They went through bullying situations. They got slapped, right? Physically and verbally, think about the situation here with like Moses and Pharaoh, with the plagues and everything, and even the spirit realm was involved. It was the demon gods of Egypt versus the true God of Israel, right? So demon gods like the god of the Horus, right? Harpy, I think, or something was the name of the Nile, the Nile god of the Nile, which doesn't really make sense because technically the true God created everything. So you can see how upsetting that would be to the true God. Like I created this river, this Nile. He created everything, and then you have a demon God like, oh, it's mine. I'm the God of this river. Like, no, you're not. You didn't make it. It's like somebody. You have somebody saying that your car is their car. Oh, that's my car. No, it's my car. No, it's my. It's just you can understand how that'd be upsetting, yeah? Okay. So, but yeah, there was plagues and everything in Egypt, the blood, the 10 plagues, one of them being the blood in the river. So the true God was showing that he is the God, the creator of the Nile River. He can make it, imagine. It sounds, not that blood in the river, it's kind of gross, but it's actually was their way of life. They had to travel on the river. They had to eat the fish and the sea life out of the river. So if it was blood in the river, that means the river was you couldn't use it for anything. They bathed in it. Imagine back then they didn't have, even if they had plumbing and baths, you still had to get the water from the river. So blood in the river, nobody was taking showers or getting baths that week. Can you imagine? And there were married couples, obviously. There was, kids and that they didn't have, you know, toilets and stuff like we have nowadays. So they had to clean themselves. They needed that water. Water is a big source of life, So that was a big thing, blood in the river, turning the river to blood. That was the true God, right? He was exercising his strength because they were being disrespectful, right? Saying, saying that they were the gods, and the true God had to let them know, no, I am. So It's only right. What else did he do? Locust, you remember the plague of locust? Locusts are like crickets, right? So that's kind of freaky though. Imagine like just hordes and hordes of locusts. I mean, they're not a dirty animal per se, but just, bugs, like a whole bunch of them, hordes of them, the whole city full of them. Yeah, that's that's bad. So, well, yeah, and then the final plague, right, in Bible times, again, they were fighting. The humans were fighting, right? Moses and Pharaoh. Pharaoh kept telling Moses. Moses was like, "Please let my people go." And Pharaoh kept, he would lie. Okay, sure. And then he would change his mind. No, I don't feel like that. It doesn't please me to let you go. You're gonna stay here, and like basically bullying them, like they wanted to go. Um, and then also too, the true God and with the demons. That was obviously a spiritual fight. Of course, the spiritual realm, the fights that happen in the spiritual realm always cross over to the human realm. How can they not? All right, so that is just one example. And then so the final plague, which is uh, that was where Pharaoh ordered all the firstborn sons of the Israelites killed. Okay, and that is a form of dominance, killing off the male offspring so that they wouldn't be able to carry on the name and everything of the family, right? Because the female offspring they can marry into other families, Egyptian families as it were, right? And then so their lineage is not the same. Um, so, and this was important because the Israelites served the true God, and the Egyptians, most of them, many of them, grew up serving the gods of that nation. Okay, so yeah, so the true God, that's where the whole Passover, Easter celebration comes from, is because when Pharaoh was when he made that order, kill all the firstborn sons, the true God was like, you know what? No way. Now, uh, the true God ordered it as the 10th plague for all the Egyptian firstborn males to be killed off. Yeah, harsh, but he was making a point. So, in order for the Israelites to not have their sons killed, because the angels were coming, the good angels were sent by the true God, and that was their mission, was to do that. The Israelites were supposed to put lamb's blood on their door, and that would be the symbol for the good angels to pass over. Okay, pass over that house. Don't go to that house. That's a worshiper of the true God. So we're not going to go and kill that firstborn son. Okay, so anyways, you guys understand this. This is slapping. It all kind of relates if you can understand what I'm trying to the point I'm trying to get across here. Okay, so yeah, and that was the Passover. Okay, so you understand. Also, too, the biblical story about Jacob and Leah and Rachel. You guys know I love this story. Just for I can feel that family what they went through. Jacob wanted to marry Rachel, but the uncle tricked him and made him marry Leah, the older sister. And so here it was. Leah was his wife, but he still ended up marrying Rachel because he loved her in the first place. And so then they had kids. So Leah had a whole bunch of kids. Rachel could hardly, she wasn't very fertile for some reason, so she only had two kids. So the two kids that she had, though, the father, Jacob, kind of favored them a little bit. One of them was Joseph. Joseph with the tricolored coat, or the coat of many colors. He was the favored son. Dad loved him a lot, so he gave him a special coat. Now imagine there was 12 sons, right? The 12 sons of Israel. That's where all the tribes of Israel came from, because Jacob's name was changed to Israel. Okay. So anyways, yeah, so the son Joseph, Jacob really loved him, and he kind of favored him, and it kind of showed by when he bought him that, or when he had that coat made. You guys know this story in the Bible. Well, the brothers, the half brothers, from the other mother, Leah, because they were sisters, Leah and Rachel, the Leah's children and the other children by the concubines, the two the assistants of Leah and Rachel, they're like, well, what the heck? That one kid, he got, the one son, he gets a coat. What about the rest of 11 of us? And they got so mad at him, they were going to have him killed. That's how mad they were with jealousy. And instead of having him killed, they went ahead and sold him into slavery to the Egyptians, but told the dad, Jacob, that he had died. So the dad was thinking that his son died. They told him that they put animal's blood on the coat, the special coat that they were so jealous of, and said that he had been killed, by a wolf, by a wild animal. The dad grieved him because he thought he was dead. One of his favorite sons, which, I don't know, something about having favorites, but that's that is the Bible, right? These are real stories about real people. That happens sometimes. But rest assured, everybody is somebody's favorite. even if you're not your parents' favorites, like between your mom and dad, maybe your dad is passed, or maybe you don't, and maybe your mom, you and her, maybe you're not your mom's favorite, but rest assured, you're somebody's favorite. You're your aunt's favorite, your uncle's favorite, your cousin's favorite, your grandma's favorite, your teacher's favorite, your husband's favorite, the favorite, one on the team, the favorite singer, the favorite, whatever your skill, everybody is somebody's favorite. Yeah, okay, let's not get too philosophical, but yeah, just remember that. Okay, so yeah, that was some Bible examples of bullying situations too. So that I think that's it for now. I think we covered enough with that. I gave you some really good information, some good examples, okay, to highlight what we're talking about. Now, that was just the who of the bullying situation, right? Or of the slaps of life. Next time, we're going to talk about why. Why does this happen? Why do people slap others, and why do people get slapped? Like, what can you do to get slapped? I gave you some examples in my stories. I'm sure you guys have some examples in your own lives, right? But let's talk about it a little bit. Why do people get slapped? How can you? I found like Jerry sound. Why do people? But no, literally, like why do? And I'm saying slap lately. Slap can be a punch. Slap can be, you can hurt somebody's feelings. You can hurt somebody so much that they'll, just not good, right? Just very severe. So I mean, why do people do this? Why do humans do this? Okay, we can also put it over to the the animal kingdom too. I'll share some stories about that. What happens in the animal kingdom when they have to slap and dominate and bully each other? Woo, you think animals are so cute and furry and all that, and they are, but boy oh boy, they have hierarchies, and they will slap each other. Yes. Yes they will. Yes indeedy. Anyways, we'll go over that. We shall go over that. But that'll be on the next video if you guys are interested. What else? I think that was it for now. That was it. So we discussed the slaps of life and what we can learn from them, and we specifically discussed who gets the slaps of life, and who gives slaps. All of us, everybody, basically on all levels. To wrap it up, also, there was the thing at the Oscar Awards show. Well, we'll talk about that next time. That'll be more of the why people get slapped, because we all know that story by now. But why? What's the whys behind it? And I've done lots of research, and I like to share some things that I've learned about that, some very helpful things. All right, that's it, guys. If I'm going to include a link about the monkeys, but I'll do that next video. If you guys want to email me or make comments, feel free. I will definitely, I'll respond to your emails. Be careful, comment at your own risk. All right, not for me, but just in general. Okay. And also, I thank you for allowing me to share this information with you. And yeah, what are you guys going to research? Hope you benefited. You spent time listening to this, so I hope you got some benefits from it. So the next step would be, what are you going to research? All right, we'll talk later. Thank you so much, and have a good evening. Goodbye.